the brass monkey press up. Here's a few tips and tricks to help you start working towards your brass monkey press up. One of the biggest things that I find with this is that people aren't finding where their stack is in their brass monkey press up, and they're trying to raise their legs too soon. This is definitely one of those moves that the more flexible you are, the more compression, the easier you're going to be able to find that lift, but you don't have to be flexible. Okay, regardless of flexibility level, if you get your mechanics in the right place, it's going to make this move much more attainable. So one of the most common mistakes that I find is people raising their legs too soon. And the other thing is as they're trying to press up, they're turning their head this way and their butt is coming away from the pole. Instead, when you do the press up, you want to think about trying to stay as close to the pole as you can. The farther away you get from the pole, then exponentially heavier your butt is going to feel, okay? And not just in this move, in a lot of the moves. So instead of looking this way, and you'll find you probably catch yourself doing this in a lot of moves, we tend to kind of want to watch our butt and make sure it's coming with us. Your butt's not going to go anywhere without you, I hope. If it does, you have far bigger problems. So instead of looking at your butt, I want you to think about tucking your chin and actually looking back towards your belly button. Keep your head on the same side of the pole as your body. This is very similar to doing a press-up handstand, and yet not the same thing. You don't have to do a press-up handstand to be able to do this, and because you can do this, that doesn't mean you can do a press-up handstand, but similar concepts, okay? So where my hand is, I want to think about tucking my chin and looking through that hole. I mean, the head will kind of go a little bit center, but try to avoid crossing the center line with your head, okay? So as I'm pressing, I'm looking right between my arm, okay? So that's number one, where your head is, okay? The other part is where people tend to lift their legs too soon. I would encourage you to start with the legs straight when you're doing the full press. We're going to go through a couple of progressions that will involve a tuck, but what tends to happen when people tuck too soon is they transfer their weight too far away from the pole. So I think of while I'm pressing, I think about trying to drag my toes up the pole. They don't actually touch, okay? But what you want to be focusing on is your back raising. Here's the next part. When people go to press, they get to where their butt is here, and then they try and raise their legs. The problem is that all their weight is this way, so it's going to pull them back down. So before I raise my legs, I need my butt to go past the pole, okay? So as I raise, my butt needs to be past before I raise my legs up, okay? So think about trying to get to roughly mid-thigh. So a good exercise to start working on this is finding where that tipping point is, basically where you can start working on your legs. These feel really scary in the beginning. And I'll show you a few progressions on this, but find a pole buddy to kind of spot you. Make sure you're not going to go over, because in our minds, that spot that's actually the balance point, for a lot of us in the beginning, we feel like we're going to go over. And you quite possibly can, which is why I say make sure you have a buddy or a mat to keep yourself safe. You're going to start with doing just a jump, okay? So before you start trying to get this press and all these muscles going on, I want you to know in your head where your body needs to go, okay? So instead of trying, we're trying to battle strength and mechanics at the same time, it's overload for our body. So if we can at least get the mechanics of where you want to be, the destination, then you can focus on the strength part, okay? So you're going to work on these in a tuck jump, okay? You can go tuck, knees bent, or you can go pike, either way. But I want you to work on is getting to where the butt hits the pole. So into this, and actually one little point on this, slight side note, where my bottom arm is. I want to make sure my bottom arm is roughly where my chest is even-ish. I don't want to be down here, because then I don't have a lot of push out of this bottom arm. You can start with it bent and slide it. Everyone's going to have their own personal preference for where that arm goes. But I would encourage you to try and keep your chest level-ish, okay? Because if it's too low, you're not going to have enough press out, and it's going to cause your butt to roll away from the pole. Instead of find that position where you can actually push your butt into the pole, okay? So for our tucks, like I said, you can go bent leg, you can go straight. I'm going to think about tucking my chin and looking back, and I'm going to hop to my stack and then try to come negative down. Same thing. Hop. See how my butt goes past the pole? Negative down. Okay? So what I'm doing is finding where that center point is. Where the actual center point is and where our brain oftentimes wants to tell us the center point is not the same thing. So your butt needs to go past the pole, okay? So we can do it with a straight leg as well. I can go hop to here. Okay, my butt has to go a little bit farther past the pole if my legs are straight. Okay, so work on those to find where that center point is. And then you can work the negative down. So if that hop is feeling very scary to you, if you don't have a spotter, if you don't have someone to kind of help you find that spot, a good progression to start working towards that point is get into your brass monkey, and we're going to control it down. Okay, so this would be if you're brand new to a freestanding brass monkey without your legs hooked, this is a good way to start working towards that. Is I'm just going to kick up into my brass monkey, or however you prefer to get into your brass monkey. If you want to drop down into it, shoulder mount, kick up, press up. Wait, we're working on press up. Get into your brass monkey. So I'm going to kick up into it. And then from here, I'm going to scissor my legs. I'm squeezing the pole, tuck, and then work that negative down. Okay, so what I did was the leg that was hooked, I straightened it, but I'm pushing it back into the pole. The leg that was behind the pole was still there. So I end up with this scissor, which means until my legs get below my butt, I still have this hold with my legs. Okay, so that's a good way to start working on lowering, start working that negative, start working that body awareness without having a completely freestanding brass monkey, which, like I said, can be a little bit scary in the very beginning. Okay, so progression 1 is the scissor slide. Straighten that leg, stick your butt out, tuck the outside knee, and then try to work on the negative. Okay, then the next step, if that hop up seems scary, start to take the scissor out. As you work past the scissor, we'll start to go to a bit of a freestanding and lower. Okay, so same, get up in your brass monkey however you want. I'm going to straighten this leg, take this leg off, pike, and down. Okay, sometimes for people, working the negative is less scary than hopping up and feeling like you're going to go past. Okay, so A, up, scissor, slide down. B, up, release that leg, find your straight standing stack, brass monkey handstand, work on the lower. C, hopping up and trying to find your stack. Okay, so let's take a peek at all three of those real quick. So those would be the progressions to work on. An added one that will help you take it to that next step, these are all working on the negative, which definitely helps, is be able to get that lift. And in the very beginning, and this is probably where a lot of you are, because I remember I was in the same place at one time, is that first little bit off the ground, you can't even feel the lift. You don't even know which muscles to engage. So a good way to start working that is to use rubber bands, okay? So let's look at what it would look like if you use rubber bands to assist on that. So the band gives you a great opportunity to work on training that deadlift if you don't have the helping hand of an instructor or friend to spot you. So for this one, you're going to put the band on the outside knee, but it's only going to go on the tip of the knee. Okay? So I'm not putting it under my leg, I'm just putting my knee in. You're going to bring your body in, putting the pole in that armpit. Other hand is down. And initially, all we're working on is trying to bring the butt up towards the pole. Okay? So holding and down and up. So we're not trying to extend the legs. If I extend, the band's going to come off. But what we're trying to do is just start to strengthen and train those muscles to bring the hips up over the head. Once you get to the point where you're able to do those fairly easy with the band, work your way down to a smaller band. and then eventually without the band. So once you start going without the band, same, tuck and down. Okay, but the band gives you just that little bit of support to help you find that lift. When I first started doing these, I didn't even know which muscles to engage, but you'll be able to feel the band starting to pull you up and levitate your butt a little. And so it helps you start to find which direction you're going and which muscles to use. Think about trying to get the outer butt cheek to touch the pole. It's not your back. You actually want your butt to go slightly past. Once you get to the point of being able to get hips up and stacked, then you can start to work on bringing legs up the rest of it. But the hardest part is getting the hips stacked. Once you get them stacked, you can go from tuck to up, you can pike up, and you can start playing around with whatever variation that you want to do. This has been tips and tricks on developing your brass monkey press up with ElizabethBfit. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you have any requests for future tutorials, I'd love to hear them. Leave those in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, I'd love it if you shared it with a friend, subscribe to my channel, and I will continue to bring you weekly tutorials. Thank you so much for watching.